Welcome to Proverb a Day. This is Proverbs 26 for the 26th of the month. And we are outside. So we're going to get some life application. You ready? Verse 1. A snow in summer and rain in harvest. As snow in summer and rain in harvest, so is honor not fitting for a fool. Like a flitting sparrow, like a flying swallow, so a curse without cause shall not alight. The notes on that verse, by the way, we're reading Life Application Study Bible. We're going to read application notes to help apply this to our life. Let me pick up what I dropped on the ground. Alright. Okay, anyway, verse 3. A whip for the horse, a bridle for the donkey, and a rod for the fool's back. Do not answer a fool according to his folly, lest you also be like him. There's a note on that verse. We gotta read 5. Answer a fool according to his folly, lest he be wise in his own eyes. And the note on verse 4 and 5. These two verses seem to be a contradiction, but the writer is saying that we shouldn't take a foolish person seriously and try to reason with him or her angry arguments. Reason with his or her angry arguments. This will only make him or her proud and determined to win the argument. In some situations, you ought not to even try to answer a fool, for there is no way you can penetrate his or her closed mind. You may, in fact, be stooping to that person's level if you do not choose to You may, in fact, be stooping to that person's level if you do choose to answer. Such a fool will abuse you, and you will be tempted to abuse him or her in return. There are other situations where your common sense tells you to answer in order to expose the fool's pride and folly. Verse 6. He who sends a message by the hand of a fool cuts off his own feet and drinks violence. Let the legs of the lame that hang limp, like the legs of the lame that hang limp, is a proverb in the mouths of fools. There's a note on verse 7. In the mouth of a fool, a proverb becomes as useless as a paralyzed leg. Some people are so blind that they won't get much wisdom from reading these proverbs. Maybe even from hearing them, but I hope you gain wisdom. Only those who want to be wise have the receptive attitude needed to make the most of them. I hope you have a receptive attitude to make the most of these words of wisdom. If we want to learn from God, He will respond and pour out His heart to us, as it says in verse 1, chapter 23. Alright, verse 8. Like one who binds a stone in a sling is he who gives honor to a fool. The note on verse 8. Sometimes when someone in a group causes discord or dissension, the leader tries to make him loyal and productive by giving him a place of privilege or responsibility. This usually doesn't work. In fact, it is like tying the stone to the sling. It won't go anywhere and will swing back and hurt you. The dissenter's new power may be just what he needs to manipulate the group. Verse 9. Like a thorn that goes into the hand of a drunkard is a proverb in the mouth of fools. Normally, the first prick of a thorn alerts us, so we remove the thorn before it damages us. A drunk person, however, may not feel the thorn. That was for verse 9, and I didn't read verse 9 yet, so let's read verse 9. Like a thorn that goes into the hand of a drunkard is a proverb in the mouth of fools. The first prick of a thorn alerts us to remove the thorn before it damages us. A drunk person, however, may not feel the thorn, and so it will work its way into his flesh. Similarly, a fool may not feel the sting of a proverb because he does not see where it touches his life. Instead of taking its point to heart, a fool will apply it to his church, his employer, his spouse, or whomever he is rebelling against. The next time you find yourself saying, so-and-so should really pay attention to that, stop and ask yourself, is there a message in it for me? That's interesting. Verse 10. The great God who formed everything gives the fool his hire and the transgressor his wages. As a dog returns to his vomit, so a fool repeats his folly. Do you see a man wise in his own eyes? There is more hope for a fool than for him. The lazy man says, there is a lion in the road. The fierce lion is in the streets. As a door turns on its hinges, so the lazy man on his bed. The lazy man buries his hand in the bowl. It wearies him to bring it back to his mouth. The lazy man is wiser in his own eyes than 7 men who can answer sensibly. There's a note on verses 13 through 16. If a person is not willing to work, he or she can find endless excuses to avoid it. But laziness is more dangerous than a fierce lion. The less you do, the less you want to do, and the more useless you become. To overcome laziness, take a few small steps toward change. Set a concrete, realistic goal. Figure out the steps needed to reach it and follow those steps. Pray for strength and persistence. To keep your excuses from making you useless, stop making useless excuses. That sounds pretty logical. Verse 17. He who passes by and meddles in a quarrel not his own is like one who takes a dog by the ears. There's a note on that verse, 17. Taking a dog by the ears is a good way to get bitten, and interfering in arguments is a good way to get hurt. Many times both arguers will turn on the person who interferes. It is simply best to keep out of arguments that are none of your business. If you must become involved, try to wait until the arguers have stopped fighting and cooled off a bit. Then maybe you can help them mend their differences and their relationship. Verse 18. Like a madman who throws firebrands, arrows, and death is the man who deceives his neighbor and says, I was only joking. Where there is no wood, the fire goes out. Where there is no talebearer, strife ceases. A note on verse 20. Talking about every little irritation or piece of gossip only keeps the fire of anger going. Refusing to discuss them cuts the fuel line and makes the fires die out. Does someone continually irritate you? Decide not to complain about the person and see if your irritation dies from lack of fuel. That sounds pretty wise. Verse 21. As charcoal is to burning coals and wood to fire, so is a contentious man to kindle strife. The words of a talebearer are like tasty trifles. And they go down into the inmost body. Fervent lips with a wicked heart are like earthenware covered with silver dross. He who hates disguises it with his lips, and lays up deceit within himself. When he speaks kindly, do not believe him, for there are 7 abominations in his heart. Though his hatred is covered by deceit, his wickedness will be revealed before the assembly. This proverb means that people will hate in their hearts. This proverb means that people with hate in their hearts may sound pleasant enough, but don't believe what they say. Verse 27, whoever digs a pit will fall into it, and he who rolls a stone will have it roll back on him. A lying tongue hates those who are crushed by it, and a flattering mouth works ruin. That's the end of Proverbs 26, 26 of the month. Hope you learned and have a blessed day. If I can find the stop button. Stop button. Goodbye, have a blessed day.